dropping the hammer.
No, you're not.
How's Alex Bowman doing on the Tuesday after Bristol Dirt?
I'm doing all right. Just getting ready to get on the road to New Jersey to go race my sprint car. But yeah, we salvaged an okay day at Bristol, so I'll take it and move on to Talladega.
So because I was impressed because you had two consecutive spins, early in the race, and you were able to come back and get that top 10. Were you surprised that you were able to do that at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we really struggled with the race car quite a bit throughout the weekend. We were really bad on Friday and we made it better, but we still weren't where we needed to be. I kind of thought the racetrack was going to do one thing, and I think stock cars being so right front tire dependent that when it slicked up, I got way tighter than I expected to get, and we were really bad there to start stage 2. So, spun it out, just snapping the car too hard and over rotated it, and then got caught up in that wreck on the back straightaway. And then I got a lot of damage. There's caution came out. We were kind of against the wall and got into the wall and got a ton of right front damage. So to just finish, I was pretty happy about, especially to finish 6th with as much damage as we had.
So, okay, we've been doing this dirt experiment for 2 years now. You're a dirt guy. So after two attempts, what's your judgment? What's your ruling?
There are parts of it that's fun, right? Like I enjoy doing something different. Obviously the TV ratings came out today and they were really good, which is good for the sport. What's good for TV is typically good for everybody. I will say, like, if we do the road course approach and all of a sudden we have 7 of them next year, probably wouldn't be very, very good for us.
No.
And I think there are a lot of things that we need to improve on, and waiting till a week before the race to try to improve on those things isn't really acceptable.
Were you surprised that they waited until a week before to try without windshields? Or at least publicly, that's what we know, that's how late they were trying. Maybe they did it sometime else. We just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult, right? Like the situation we're in with cars in general. Like we don't have a lot of cars, we don't have parts and pieces. So I understand like the challenges and everything, but a couple things, like if you take the windshields out and have a bunch of moisture in the racetrack, that fixes visibility. When I restarted in the back, there were still 0 visibility situations, which, I go sprint car racing in Ohio in the middle of the summer, which is about the dustiest place in the world, and you can still see more. So, I think it's tough. So you put moisture on the racetrack, take the windshields out, put bars in front of the cars, and that fixes that. But then your overheating issue becomes significantly worse than it already was.
Really?
So, because you're going to clog the grill screen with all the mud that you're going to create, and obviously that was already an issue. So, I think I'm glad there are so many smart people at NASCAR and between all the teams, because I'm sure they will figure out ways to make it better. But there are a lot of challenges to taking a race car that's not designed to race on dirt and trying to go dirt race with it. I think Bristol did a really good job with the racetrack this year. It was definitely better than it was last year. I wish somebody I wish they would have hot lapped us before the feature, had somebody like late models there to blow it off or something. Cause obviously that initial slime created a lot of overheating stuff, but I like regular Bristol. I would rather run regular Bristol, but if the fans like it and they're all tuning in on TV, that's why we have jobs. That's why we get to drive race cars for a living. And that's really all that matters. So I think the TV numbers probably spell out the future.
But based on what you experienced Sunday, is a cup race on dirt like this at Bristol, is it more forgiving maybe than other forms of racing on dirt?
I don't know that it's more forgiving. Like I think at normal dirt tracks, you would see a lot of the same things.
Okay.
The track prep is very painted into a box. Like they can't have it very wet because of, the windshields and the overheating and everything. But then if it gets too dry, it's too dusty. So I think the track did a good job of trying to stay in the middle there. The rain probably helped the dust at the end of the race a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think you would be in the same situations at regular tracks, and at least Bristol has the infrastructure to, have the teams and the kind of work areas and have all the fans there and everything that a lot of local dirt tracks don't have. So definitely, I mean, it's fun, right? The cars it's fun to do different things, but it's really interesting for sure.
Okay. So you guys are going to Talladega this weekend, and you haven't had the best of luck at super speedways. So aside from the threat of, getting in a wreck, like what's holding your program back at super speedways?
Yeah, I feel like, our speed at Daytona single car was really fast, obviously. But then in the draft, it just like we weren't very strong. We just seemed a little off. So we've gone to work at trying to be better. I feel like in the past, I've made bad choices, bad lane choices, and put ourselves in some bad spots. We've had our fair share of bad luck. I've made my share of mistakes. Kind of since I finished second there, everything has kind of gone downhill. I don't think I've finished one in a while. So, yeah, it's tough. I feel like I'm not the greatest speedway racer. Part of that is probably just the fact that I don't like it. So I'm like, let's just get this over with. But it's a big part of our sport, and I'm definitely trying hard to get better at it.
Which do you prefer, Daytona or Talladega?
It's all the same to me.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, like they have their differences, right? Like Talladega handling is typically a little bit better, but then the seam through the tri-oval is pretty tough to get through. And I feel like with the next gen car and how it kind of is twitchier, that seam in the tri-oval might be a little tougher, but we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously no practice, just rolling into qualifying and racing. So it'll be pretty interesting.
For you as a driver, like when you were first like starting out your career, like how long would it take for you to determine whether Alex Bowman is good at this track or not? I'm good here, I'm not good here. Like how many visits does it take for you to come to a conclusion about whether you're good somewhere or not?
Yeah, I think it really changes throughout the course of your career quite a bit. And it also changes with your race teams and with how your race cars have developed, right? Like when I ran Xfinity full time, our super speedway stuff was really good. It was the tandem package. We ran up front quite a bit. We didn't win one, but we led laps. We ran up front at pretty much all of them, and we're always strong. I don't like super speedway racing now, and I liked it then. So
okay,
a little different. But when I came to the Cup Series, like especially with Hendrick, Martinsville was tough on me. Dover was tough on me. Richmond was tough on me. We've
and now
won
you've won multiple of those tracks.
Yeah, so it's definitely, I feel like the places that were tough on me at first I've gotten better at, and then some places that we were really successful at right off the bat we've struggled at lately. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like it flip-flops from year to year. The last couple of years we've been extremely strong at Martinsville, and then this year we were not very good. So it can change in a heartbeat, changes with the race car, but definitely can. I feel like it's always changing and always evolving.
So you after Talladega, you go to Dover, which you won last year. And you have 4 top 5s there in the last 5 races that you've had. So what clicked for you at Dover?
Yeah, the 5th one of those too, we crashed. So I feel like we've been really strong there for a long time. We had that one race that we had a bunch of right front damage and didn't run well, but other than that, the last couple of years we've been extremely strong. And the thing that clicked was a conversation with Jimmy Johnson about how to approach the place. I struggled there really badly at first with HMS. Chase would be really strong and I would be really not strong. And Jimmy has obviously had a ton of success there. So being able to lean on him, and I honestly just had one conversation after a really frustrating practice. And it kind of changed how I approached it. And we, aside from one race, haven't run outside of the top 5 ever since then.
What was the advice?
Well, I'm going to keep that to myself, considering it has kept us in the top 5. I think it's going to be out the window with the new race car, but yeah, just different approach and kind of different thought process on how to approach the racetrack.
So yeah, you mentioned the next gen car. For me, Dover is one of those tracks that I'm very eager to see how that car performs. It's like in like top 3 of please let this car improve the racing. So what is your expectation for how that car will perform on a track with that much banking?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Dover is an extremely difficult racetrack, hard to drive. You got to really hustle the race car. It's a long race. It's probably the most physically demanding race of anywhere we go all year. I think the next gen is going to be a handful there. I think going into this year, I thought the racing at the short tracks was going to be amazing. The racing at the big tracks was going to be terrible. I was completely wrong, because the big tracks have been amazing races and the short tracks have not been as good as I thought they would be. So I think the race car itself is going to be an absolute handful at Dover, and that is going to make the racing pretty good. Now, that's me saying that, so the opposite will probably happen. But we've seen at some of the short tracks that the car just drives really well, has a ton of forward drive, and that has taken away all the passing opportunities, I feel like. And it'll be interesting to see how Dover is. Obviously it's not a short track, but it's not a mile and a half either. So I think the tire is going to be a key player there too. The opportunity to move around is typically present once rubber lays down at Dover. If we don't lay rubber down, I think it's going to be pretty tough, and you're just going to be stuck on the bottom. But we'll have to wait and see. Until we go do it, it's kind of hard to say how the race is actually going to play out.
Well, I've been wondering, like, as the years progressed, how drivers, they go into the sim to prepare for a track. How much does the sim match up with what you experience on the track with this car compared to what you would experience in the sim and then actually experience in real life last year?
Yeah, so I got banned from the simulator like a year and a half ago. Greg said no more. So I've only been in the simulator once this year, and that was to prepare for COTA. I really only plan on using it for the road courses. I think, my opinion, the use for a simulator, it's hard. I think we were using it for the wrong reasons in the past. Like, we were trying to use it to develop setups and to develop our race cars, and it led us down some wrong paths a couple times, and the guys got frustrated with it. And I think, me using it as a race car driver to work on concepts for COTA really helped me when I got there. So I'm just going to try to use it for the road courses in that way going forward, unless Greg changes his mind and we're going to start going back every week. But I was really impressed because it had been a while since I had been in our simulator, and it was spot on from the simulator to the racetrack for COTA. So that was really cool to see. A lot of times it's not that close or it's different week to week, and it was absolutely spot on for COTA, which is big props to the GM guys for making that happen.
So why were you banned? Were you just using it too much, or did you break something?
No, I wasn't actually banned. Greg was just like, hey, we're not going to keep doing this every week. It's not helping us. So we just tried to focus our time elsewhere. And, some guys it helps and some guys it doesn't. And really, I think our approach to it, looking back, was not the right thing to approach. And we approached it much differently before COTA this year, and I think it really helped us.
So you weren't approaching it for setup stuff, or you were just like approaching it for just how to figure out your way around the track? Was that really
this year that's what I did. In the past, we've tried to develop race cars on there, and it's just hard. Like, there's so many variables there, and I mean, you can make one setup do a million different things just on the settings for the simulator itself. So it's tough to dial things in there, and decided that just focusing on trying to use it to make me a better driver was the better decision.
Okay. So one stat I really find interesting about you is that of your 7 Cup wins, they're all at 7 different tracks, and that's the most out of active drivers without repeating at a track. So for you, what does that say about you? Like your assessment of yourself as a driver, where you can go out and win at 7 different tracks, where only like 3 of them are really similar, like Vegas, Chicago, Fontana. 7 different tracks. What does that mean for you at this point in your career?
Yeah, for sure. It's been pretty cool. I feel like I'm a pretty diverse race car driver, and I'm continuing to become more diverse with just racing different things, like going and racing a sprint car this week. And, I feel like a road course win and a super speedway win is really all I am away from kind of winning every different style of racetrack. So, which we were close to getting a road course win at COTA earlier this year. So it's been really cool. I'm just a racer. I enjoy racing anything, anytime, anywhere. So having wins at a diverse group of racetracks is cool. Winning two short track races last year was really cool as well, because I feel like my short track program was on the weaker side until a couple of years ago. So improving at that has been cool. And I've really just tried to, instead of like being like, hey, our 1.5 mile stuff is really good, I'm going to super focus on our 1.5 mile and kind of forget the rest. I've tried to really focus on the weaker programs and try to make myself better. And road courses and short tracks were probably those 2 things for me. And I feel like I've improved that, and I'm continuing to try to improve that. Super speedway racing is one of those that I got to fall in love with a little more to try to improve, but I'm trying anyway. And it's been pretty cool to be able to add those 7 tracks to my wins list.
All right. So I guess my last question for you is, like, of those 7, which surprised you the most?
Richmond last year surprised me. I feel like I'm still not amazing there. We were really good there this year and just had some issues that kept us from being in contention. But I think, we were one of the better cars, I feel like. Last year, just how fast we were all day. Like, I feel like everybody thinks we just stole that race at the end from Denny. Everybody, I could lead every lap and they'd have excuses somehow. But, I feel like that day we started really deep because we crashed the week before, and it was on like the formula or whatever to have the starting lineup. So we started deep, ran through the field, pit road penalty, the end of the second stage. So we started last to start the second stage. Went green and we drove all the way back to third from last. We were going to finish third if the caution doesn't come out. So, we were definitely one of the best cars all day at a place that I had maybe won top 10 before that, but I'm not even sure about that. So definitely, like, by far my worst racetrack going to that point. Was dreading that day. Like, let's get this over with. We're terrible here. And to come out of there with a win, especially as rough as the start of last season was on us, was really, really cool.
All right. Well, thanks, Alex, for taking time out of your day. Good luck. And you said you're going to New Jersey?
Yeah, we go to New Jersey tomorrow night and Pennsylvania on Thursday night. So
what's your actual schedule like for this year when it comes to dirt?
I'm gonna run like 30 or so.
Okay.
Really as many as I can fit in during the week and not distract from all the other stuff we got going on.
All right. Well, have fun. Have fun getting dirty again. So
thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you.
See ya.